Welcome all of you who are here today, who have the firm intention to practice. Because all of you have wisdom to know what is beneficial for you and which is not. All of you have given up time, the comfort of your home, the personal space, also the money to come to this place. Many of you come here for different reasons. Some of you may want to know more about the practice of samatha and vipassana. Some of you already know how to practice and just want to find the right way for you to practice. Some of you want to find answers to your personal questions that you have, or the right way to live in life. So I would like to anumodana with all of you who have practiced hard for the past 7 days. Some of you have practiced for a long time, even before these 7 days. Some of you have just started. So may you be intent in the practice and pay a lot of attention to the teaching of Venerable Ajahn Anan. From his teaching these past 7 days, I also get a lot of benefit from the teaching as well. Some of the stories I have never heard before, and I have just heard it together with all of you. So this is mutual benefit for us. So when you are here, you are practicing the 8 precepts, you are eating vegetarian food. This all help in the practice to progress. These past 7 days, Venerable Ajahn Anan taught a lot of methods of practice, whether it's anapanasati, observing the breath, marananusati, contemplation of death, buddhanusati, contemplation of the Buddha virtues, the 4 elements, or contemplation of anicca, dukkha, anatta. So each one of you have to see which of these methods is right for you. Some of you like to contemplate in order for the peace to arise. Some of you just want to focus on the breath and peace arise in your mind. But all of these methods, they all lead to one thing, which is the ultimate goal is the Nibbana. But what cannot be missed is the diligence. So today, I would like to emphasize on this point, which is the diligence. Luang Por Anan always emphasized to the monks that if we want to progress in our practice, we have to have diligence. All of you, the lay people, I am sure that you already practice diligence in your daily life. When you work, you have to have diligence in order to progress in your work, to earn money, for yourself, for your family, and for giving dana. Or you have to have the diligence to exercise, in order for your body, for your physical to be strong. But whatever you're doing, you also have to realize that our life, whether it's 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, 120 years, we all have to die, and we cannot take our belongings with us. But our mind do not die. If we haven't reached Nibbana, we have to be reborn over and over again. From Luang Por Anan's teaching, he said that the number of Buddhas who have enlightened in this world is more than the amount of sand in the Ganges River. But we are all still here in this world, being reborn again and again, until we have cultivated enough parami and enter Nibbana. During the evening chantings, many times, Luang Por Anan lead us in the chanting of the Ariya Magga, the 8 Ariya Magga, and we chant it with translation as well. One of them is Samma Vayamo, the right diligence. What are they? So we have to be diligent for the unwholesomeness that hasn't happened so that it won't happen. And we have to have the diligence to watch our mind for the unwholesomeness that already exists, to get rid of it. And we have to have the diligence for the wholesome thoughts that haven't happened to cultivate it. And we have to have the diligence for the existing wholesome thoughts, and we have to have the diligence to keep the wholesome thoughts that already exist. So what are the unwholesomeness? They are greed, anger, and delusion. This is the cause of our being reborn again and again. There's a Pali phrase, Viriyena tukkamaccheti. We can overcome suffering by our diligence. I have a story to tell you. One time in the life of the Buddha, the Lord Buddha was at Jetavana, and there were many monks staying with him. One of them is a very diligent monk. He was very focused in his study and his practice. And he was very well liked by the Sangha. So after he was ordained for 5 years, he has a thought that he wants to attain Nibbana. So he asked the Lord Buddha to go into the forest to practice by himself for 3 months during the Vasa. And he practiced very hard, but still he cannot find progress in his practice. His mind became unstable and he didn't know what to do. So he gave up. He thought that he probably cannot be enlightened in this life. So after the Vasa, he went back to Jetavana to pay respect to the Buddha. The Sangha heard his story, and they took him to the Buddha, and the Buddha gave a sermon of one of the Jataka, the Palo-tattha Jataka. In the time of the ancient Varanasi, there is a merchant. This merchant and his team, they have to travel to places on the caravan. And this one time, they have to take the caravan to go through a desert for over almost 1,000 kilometers. They have to travel at night and rest during the day. On the last day of the journey, they almost reach the city of their destination. So they use up all of their water and their firewood. But then in the at night, when they start to travel, their navigator fell asleep and they got lost, and they came back to the same place that they were staying, and they were all very tired. The merchant thought that if I leave it like this, some people may die. So he went out and he searched for water. And after a while, he found a place where grass can grow. So he knew that there is water under the sand. So he called the workers to dig. But then when they dig for over 30 meters, they still cannot find water. All they found was a large stone. So many of them gave up. But the leader, the merchant, he doesn't give up. He put his ears to the stone and listened, and he heard the sound of water. So he told his worker to drill the stone. And once they drill the stone to underneath the stone, they find water, and they all survive. You can see that because he doesn't give up, he can overcome all the obstacle. The Buddha said that the merchant is the Buddha in this life. And his worker who gave up is the bhikkhu who gave up in this life. And then after the Jataka, the Buddha taught the Four Ariyat Satya, the Four Noble Truths. And this bhikkhu, now that he calmed down, he have peace in his mind, he was able to attain samadhi, and he was able to see the Dhamma. So you can see that by being diligent, by not giving up, you can find success. And we all have to have the diligence. Luang Por Anan always teach that on the Uposatha day, whether it's the half moon or the full moon or the dark moon, we should practice the diligence by practicing Nesachik, not sleeping for one night. Initially, when I first ordained, I have the doubt of what would I get out of this, out of not sleeping for one night? And Luang Por Anan said that at the least, you get the patient endurance Because our nature, it is normal to sleep. And if we don't sleep, if we don't lay down, we get to practice the mind, to train the mind, to overcome stupor. It is one of the five fetters that obstruct our practice. So once a week, we practice the Nisachik in order for our mind to be stronger. And you can use this in your workplace as well. Some of you have to work overtime for a long time, and you may lose your mindfulness. But if you practice not sleeping, then you will be able to keep your mindfulness in your work as well. It is, of course, a lot of suffering, but it is good if you can do it. So may all of you have the diligence to practice. Luang Por Anan have been giving Dhamma talks for these 7 days, and also before that. What we need is the diligence to bring that Dhamma to practice. Even when you go home, you have to find the time to practice. You should set your own schedule. Not everyone has the same schedule, of course. So you have to find time to practice. Don't leave it, and you will progress for sure. Luang Por Anan always emphasized that when you are diligent, you practice, and when you are lazy, you practice as well. For myself, it is a slow progress. After ordaining for a few vasa, my mind become tame, and it can be trained. That trained mind become diligent automatically. When we are diligent, we like to practice, but when we are lazy, we want to follow our laziness. We just want to go to sleep, or we just want to stay in our hut. We don't want to go up to the evening chanting. We don't want to wake up for the morning chanting. But if we have the diligence and we do it anyway, then the mind will become tame. Some of us have a very stubborn mind, and the mind is hard to train. But some of us, the mind is already tame and gentle. When the teacher gives just a little warning, then we just follow his teaching. So for all of us, we should be intent in this practice. We just cultivate our mindfulness, our diligence slowly. For me, I practiced, the first few months, few years, I do not see any result. For me, it has to be over 10 years in order to achieve some result. So now, nobody has to tell me, and I have the liking of practicing. This is actually a wonder for me, because before I ordain, I always follow my heart intent. When I am lazy, I just want to sleep and stay home. So may all of you believe in the teaching of Luang Por Anan and bring his teaching into the practice. And with all of you, I have listened to the question and answer session, and I received a lot of wisdom. I also gained benefit. Some of the questions that you asked, I also have that same question, but I was afraid to ask Luang Por Anan, but you asked those questions for me. So we have a mutual benefit together. So on this occasion, I would like to ask for the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha to support you, all of you, in your practice. So you have been practicing for these 7 days. There are only 2 days left. So may you be intent. Luang Por Anan is still healthy. All of you are healthy. So you should practice hard. And may you find progress in your practice, both in the Dhamma sense and in the worldly life.